Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. I am very thankful for some great people in the YouTube true crime community, and that does not include Zavgirl, and there's another YouTuber who made photos, autopsy photos of Sweet Gannon available on Patreon, exposing his body. There's just no, it's just sick. It is sick. And I'm very, extremely thankful for Brian Entin, News Daddy. He just did a piece this evening on NewsNation. He was filling in for Dan Abrams, and he also spoke with the lead prosecutor in the case. And he said this better than anyone I could imagine saying. So I'm going to play the piece. And I want to thank again Brian Entin and NewsNation for continuing to stand up for Gannon Stauch and his family. And if his family happens to see this video, my love and hugs and everything goes to you. This should never have happened. And I hope there's just nothing that we can do to make it better. There's nothing that we can do to make it better. Only thing we can do is those of us that are against it, which I am, and I know many others that are my friends here on YouTube, fellow creators, we're going to stand up, keep standing up for these victims. We're going to keep advocating for them because that's all what it's about. And there are certain creators like Zavgirl who are just not, they're not victims advocates. They're just not. They would not have posted, she would not have posted these photos and for sale behind a paywall. She would not have done this if she truly cared about little Gannon Stauch.
But we start tonight with something that just has me really, really upset. And I don't usually stay mad about things, but this is one of those things that I can just still sort of feel myself fuming over. Normally, I'm even-tempered. You kind of have to be when you cover crimes the way I do. But I've always been very, very sensitive when it comes to grieving families. And when people hurt victims' families, especially people with big platforms, to make money, it just really, really gets me. You may remember the story of Gannon Stauch, the Colorado 11-year-old was stabbed 18 times by his stepmother. He was hit in the head, he was shot, and then he was stuffed in a suitcase and left under a bridge in Florida. It was an awful, awful story. You see that little face there. Well, his stepmother, Letitia Stauch, was convicted in May of killing the little boy. The judge said it was the most horrific case that he had ever seen in his entire career. Little Gannon's bedroom, just to give you an idea how bad this was, it had blood all over the walls, a blood-soaked mattress, the carpet was soaked, even the concrete under the bed was blood-stained. So to say that this was a brutal killing would really just be an understatement. The trial got a lot of coverage, especially from true crime YouTubers, and I gotta say, I know a lot of the podcasters out there. Most of them are really, really responsible. They're good people. I'm friends with a bunch. I was just texting with a buddy a little while ago, a YouTuber. They're ethical, they're victim-focused, but you know how it is. There are always bad apples in the group. Really, really bad apples who cross the line and exploit families, grieving families, to make money. I never even heard of this one YouTuber there, Zavgirl, until a bunch of you started messaging me last night. She calls her YouTube page a true crime channel and writes in the description, "I feel it's really important to give victims of these tragic crimes a voice when they don't have one." And she has almost 100,000 subscribers. But for some reason, Zavgirl thought it would be a good idea to put in a Freedom of Information request for little 11-year-old Gannon's autopsy photos. And they actually released the photos to her. She had to pay. They released the photos, and she got them. And you can just imagine, based on the description of the way that little boy was killed, what those photos looked like. Zavgirl then proceeded to post them on her Patreon account, which is an account attached to her YouTube page, and she charged her followers money to see the autopsy photos. For $3, you could see little Gannon's body. She was making money off of that little boy's autopsy photos of a severely beaten to death little boy. Really, they just got no place on the internet. It was hard enough for the jury to have to look at them. But for this YouTuber to go to all that trouble to request them, to pay the money, to get them from the government, and not only post them, but then to charge people to see them. I mean, I just find it sick. And I question, has Zav Girl ever even been in a courtroom or interviewed a grieving family? That's my issue with some of these YouTubers that cause problems. They hide behind their computers. They don't even use their real names. Like in this case, we don't even know who Zav Girl really is. And if you're so proud of your page, I don't know why people don't just use their real name. And this isn't some video game or TV show you're playing on your computer. This is a real family's life. This morning, Zav Girl, she got a lot of heat for this. She posted a statement on her YouTube page about the controversy. It was deleted. It's back up now. I screen grabbed it. This is part of it. She wrote, "The reality of the situation is that different people feel differently about this. Some people are genuinely think making a video including the autopsy photos is bad, and I respect their opinion and feelings. Other people like myself think of autopsy photos and the coroner discussing, explaining, interesting, and informative, are all able to view it in a more scientific, detached way." Well, Zav Girl, there is nothing detached about posting the autopsy photos of an 11-year-old little boy, and then, on top of it, which I really think pushes it over the line, charging money for people to see them. It is sick, it's deranged, and you should just own up to it. Whoever you are, wherever you live, maybe get out from behind your computer screen, go to the local courthouse, and actually sit through a murder trial and see what it's like for the families in real life. Not on YouTube, not sitting behind your computer and thinking about clicks, but actually go to the courthouse and see what these families actually have to deal with, and then think about how it might feel for them after having to see those photos in the courtroom, to then have them plastered all over the internet and then be trying to charge people money to view them so you can get rich off of it. It's just awful. I want to bring in District Attorney Michael Allen, who served as the lead prosecutor on little Gannon's case. Thank you for being with us, Michael. You were the lead prosecutor. You had to go through that whole trial. I can't even imagine, this just got me so mad thinking about Gannon's family. I know they're aware of this. I mean, how are they processing all of this?
Well, thanks for having me on to talk about this. First off, we reached out to the family members and had discussions with them about this, just letting them know that, one, it's happening and sort of what they can do potentially to combat this. But honestly, there's nothing they can do to get these photos down once they're on the internet. It's just completely disrespectful to the family members that have had to live through this horror. But even more so, Gannon deserves so much more in life from his stepmother, and he certainly deserves dignity and respect in death. And there's nothing about what this YouTuber is doing, and I think there's another one out there as well, that they're doing that provides any dignity or respect to Gannon. And the statement that they put out about this incident, sort of justifying it, it just rings hollow. Other ways to do this, scientifically, they could have used body diagrams that the autopsy also included, instead of putting the actual pictures of Gannon's just completely broken body that reflects the depravity and horror that he had to live through and die at the hands of his stepmother, that he had to suffer. It's outright disgusting, and it just speaks to the lowest of human forms, in my opinion.
And there was a live stream of the trial, correct? And these were specifically blocked from going out to the public. And the same thing, I covered the Lori Vallow trial. Those pictures were also blocked so that they couldn't get out. I just wonder, why were these released? I mean, apparently this YouTuber had to pay quite a bit of money to get the photos. Why even send them out?
Yeah, so it's state by state how that sort of thing works. The autopsy was actually performed in Florida, and Florida law allows these sort of things to go out under a Freedom of Information Act request. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that these sort of sensitive photos have to be released. And you're right. When we were in trial, we actually put blocked part of the images out to hide some of the more sensitive parts of Gannon's body and to really show the jury just the injuries as opposed to sort of making a spectacle of the whole situation, which we did not want to do. That's disrespectful to the family. And again, like I said, takes away the dignity that Gannon deserved in life and in death.
And you mentioned it, there are others too. It's not just this one YouTuber. Is there anything that can be done now, Michael, that you can do or that the family can do to sort of get these off the internet, especially stop people from making money off of them?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the most disgusting part of this
Yeah.
too? That they're actually profiting off of somebody else's complete horror. I can't imagine what the family feels deep down inside over this whole thing. There's really not anything that can be done legally. I have suggested that the family reach out to a private attorney to see if there's anything they can do. As far as jurisdiction from my office or from the Colorado courts, I don't think that there's anything that they can do either, unfortunately. And maybe we need to look at changing the law as it relates to autopsy photos being released on the internet, that sort of thing. But, you know, we don't even know where these people live, these two YouTubers live, or where they're posting them from. So it really gets down to jurisdictional boundary lines and what potentially could be done based on where they live and how it's hitting in a particular area.
Yeah, and I'm a part of the true crime community. Like I said, I mean, like 99% of the people out there that follow these cases, I'm sure you realized it too, because the case that you were on was very, very popular online with people watching. You know, they have good intentions. They like to analyze the testimony. They're very, very victim focused. So, you know, most are really good. But I just think that a lot of these YouTubers, the bad ones, don't realize that like these are real human lives. It's not just some like fun thing that you do online on the weekends on YouTube. Like these people go home at night and have to deal with this.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about Gannon's parents, Al and Landon, they've had to live with the horror of what happened to Gannon for over 3 years from that January 2020 date when this all started. And this just keeps those wounds open. They know that Gannon's body is being paraded around essentially on the internet superhighway, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. And it's just grotesque. I can't imagine the low that somebody would have to go to want to put something like this out on the internet when we're talking about an 11-year-old boy who suffered the most horrific injuries and was murdered in the worst possible way.
Yeah, it's awful. Well, the good news is Patreon, where she was charging, at least on that one account, has now taken the account down. I went and checked right before the show, and it like says suspended or something like that. So at least that's some good news. Michael Allen, thank you for coming on. Please express to the family that we just feel terrible about this, and if there's anything we can do to help, let us know.
I absolutely will do. And again, thanks for bringing some attention to this. It's needed. And I can tell you for sure that the family appreciates the scorn that these people are having to live through now.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming on.